Thank you, Manoj brother. We heard the meditation, definitely. So I'm sure all have enjoyed that. But maybe when brother is sharing also the PowerPoint, it's not working. So we'll move on. The very first one is the icebreaker, or we say warm up exercise. So we'll warm up to the beautiful value of generosity. And we'll start with reflecting on the simple act of giving. Beautiful question. What are you glad to give? Or what is that when you give makes you feel happy on a daily basis? Every day we do something, that little gesture of giving that makes us happy. So we'll start with this little reflection, but for that, we'll watch a video from others, listen to the others who are sharing what is that little things they give that makes them happy. And it's a beautiful video starting from the age of 6 to 100. So let's watch it. We can watch it deeply, and then either you can share something that stayed with you from the video, or the act that comes to your mind that you do that makes you happy. The act.
Giving a donation is like sharing love, it's showing you care.
I've given these cookies out, I don't even know how many times. They're like a secret weapon of mine.
I have been homeless a few times, and the one thing that I found was when I was able to find something that I could put on that was new, it lifted my spirits.
Have you ever given anything to someone that really made you feel happy?
Yeah, I've donated stuff to a shelter. I gave away my Nemo.
I like to give away food because I like to get food.
I remember this one time, this guy asked for money, and my dad said, no, I can't give you any money, but I can buy you something to eat. Then we got him something to eat. And then about 10, 15 seconds after, another person saw what my dad did and bought him another meal.
My fiance is Cuban, and she loves these little pastelitos from our favorite Cuban bakery. So I bought a bunch of them to give out. They're our favorite thing to give away. Everybody loves them.
I am going to give all these comforters and pillowcases.
A doll.
Summer maxi dress, great for the warm weather.
I know every gift comes from a store, but it really comes from the heart.
It's important to give because the world is unequal and unfair, and some people have more than other people.
If you don't give of yourself and try to do the best you can, then you're not fulfilling your life at all. You have to give to receive.
I think the really important thing about giving is to not have the expectation of getting something in return, because at that point you're not giving, you're like making a trade.
It just pays off because you see the rewards of your giving.
It makes me feel connected to like the rest of the universe in a way.
The more I give back, the more I get in life.
Anytime that I can share something of myself to help somebody out, it makes me feel good.
I come from a huge Italian family, and food is everything in our family, so that's why I like to bake for my friends and show them how much I care and just kind of give a piece of myself through my cooking.
But I love giving my heart.
Giving love.
I had been experiencing financial trouble, and a friend of mine just sent me a check, and it was just like amazing.
Even tiny things change lives.
I brought some shoes that I have never worn, and they're brand new shoes, and I just grew out of them. Dino and a unicorn.
These are old shirts.
So I brought my best sweater. Hope somebody will be able to enjoy it.
It's my guardian angels that have gotten me through what I've gotten through. Somebody and something is given to me, and I want to give it back.
4 thumbs up.
I hope you saw the video. That little acts of giving that we all do, think of doing, but do you relate to it, that it makes you so much happy when you do that? So we would invite some of your sharings. You can put it on the chat box, or you can share with us verbally that what is that either you like to give this way every day that makes you happy, Or what is that touched you from the video? So, okay. Anyone who's ready, who can put on the chat box or share? Maybe you can start with Dr. Mehta.
I'll tell you, we just moved our house and we had lots of furniture. So we have just sent it over to one of the Brahmakumari centers. We offered to anyone who wanted, so they wanted it, but they were having a garden in which they wanted to set up couches and dining table and chairs, etc. Small thing, but that's important. But the most important, I always feel as a professional, I like to give my professional services free to whoever wants it, especially those who can't afford it.
Beautiful. See the physical giving too. What is that you hold within and you love sharing that? Thank you for sharing. Anyone else inspired to share? Yes, Vidhi sister.
I like to share food which I buy for my family. So I like to give first to the helpers of my house. Sometimes if they can't afford that, but we bought it so easily. So I like that. So I follow that practice of giving that food first to them, a part of it.
Beautiful. Thank you. That makes you happy every day. Such a easy secret to be happy every day. Thank you. Anyone else? What is that you give every day? What comes to your mind?
Good wishes we give to everyone every day.
Good wishes.
Like in the morning and evening meditation. And one thing more, whenever we cook something special in the house, I like to share it with my workers, especially the lady who is cooking for us. And I would even tell her to take it for her children also. So that gives me happiness because I feel she won't be able to prepare those dishes at her own home.
That's a sign of generous heart giving. Thank you, Sister Kiran. Anyone else? We'd like to hear you. So in the chat box, I see a few things, few sharings that have come up. So Pooja sister says, I buy new clothes when there is a sale and donate it to orphanages. Vijay Pal brother says, would like to serve all beings by giving love, peace, happiness, and to make contentment to all by becoming Bab Saman, that is like the divine, bringing that divinity in the self, Rehem Dil, that is merciful and kindness. Brother Manoj says, knowledge. He likes to share knowledge to all the juniors. And I think the Portuguese, there are few sharings. Maybe Brother Manuel is here if he likes to read it in English. But we'll continue. Brother Manoj says, teaching the resident doctors to empower them with knowledge. That's what he gives. Sister Michelin says, giving my time to hear other needs and presence. So others need to hear and giving your own presence. Olga sister says, give love and blessings to all souls, especially for those in need. Right. Anyone else? Little act, even physical act every day. So if we can relate to do that, it makes you happy. We can take one or two more sharings.
Om Shanti.
Okay, hold on. we'll go one after the other. Yes, Gulden sister.
Dürdane Kabadayı from Turkey. I am donating money 3 or 4 times some association which are helping poor and ill people. And also, I am always giving my love to children because I love very much children. Where I meet them, I am waiting and saying something with full of love. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful sharing. Giving to children that is full of life, whatever they may love, and giving money that can be utilized properly for whoever need. Thank you. Sister, you wanted to share?
I want to share one thing. Donate time, our time to help others. Donate time, like do this kind of service, doing translation, doing everything, but we need to spend our time. So I think donate our time for me is I'm glad to donate my time for everyone. Don't look for who my time goes, but for everyone. Okay, thank you.
Beautiful. So donate to others, your time, but also to the self. So keeping that balance, very important. Thank you. I think we can hear from Apurva's sister now.
Om Shanti. So the one physical act of generosity which I do follow and I really like doing is teaching the underprivileged kids. It gives me immense love and peace when I see their smiling faces and the prospect of them improving and doing better in their lives. So that's something which I truly like and I follow it as much as I can.
Really beautiful and meaningful. Thank you. So we see some more on the chat box. As Brother Manuel say, that he does the Portuguese translation for many programs that's happening online these days. So that is what makes him happy as he does. BK Jagdish says, smile and wish good morning. That's what he gives in the morning. Deepak brother says, donating rice to orphanage homes whenever I can, and that makes him happy. Olga sister says, the best present you can give to others is your time. Okay, so Sheena Ram says, as a bus driver, she drives the bus, makes me so happy to stop for those rushing to get somewhere, even if they're not at a stop sign. Also give clothes and groceries to our local homeless shelters. So one more on the chat box. In this present fast-moving society, it is always better to listen elders and be with them physically to attend their basic needs. Time is more value than mercy. I wish to do this, giving time. So yes, that's beautiful sharings. Before we move on, we can see quickly the compilation of the values of giving that we hold within that makes us happy. So you can see mostly whatever we shared. So physical things, furniture, what is somebody needing, clothes, new ones, new clothes, as well as time, good wishes, love, blessings, all that we share, knowledge, make others feel they know something as we teach them. So giving time to the self, that was very nice too. That makes you happy, one brother shared. So with this, let's now move on to our very first exercise. So as we just reflected on just simple act of giving or generosity, now we'll move on to the deeper understanding. For that, Okay, so the first exercise is attributes of generosity. So now we will reflect on a person in our life who does those acts of generosity that we notice that makes us feel good. So it is about now seeing somebody else in our life. So for that, the reflection question is, reflect on a person who can be a friend, relative, good guru, or anyone like colleague, family members, whose generous acts have influenced your life and kept you motivated. So generosity is connected with giving, as we all reflected through. So what are the generous acts of someone in your life that has influenced your life in one or other positive way and kept you motivated? And as you think about those acts, write down few qualities of the generosity they show. So in him or her, so what are the qualities of generosity they display in their actions and behavior? So it'll take just 1 minute. Write down the person who comes to your mind and the qualities of generosity they show. Okay, so I'm sure you got that. Very quickly, we can take some sharings. Just give 2 minutes to take some sharings. The person and the qualities of generosity you notice in them. So few other people who could, unmute and share will take some others' sharings. We would like to invite you to unmute and speak. Anyone? Anyone likes to share?
Om Shanti Didi ji.
Okay, Vijay Bhai, very quickly, we'd like to hear you.
My dear brothers and sisters, I think all of you who come on this platform every day to speak a few, Manoj Bhai, Ashok Bhai ji, Annu Didi ji, and all the didis who are giving us a gyan of Almighty and giving this knowledge of generosity and all virtues. I think we owe to all of you Om Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. So generosity of giving, being present. Anyone else? Who is the person you recognized in your life? And what is the act?
I used to have a friend who used to live in Europe, but when he came back to India, he was a rich man, so he almost gave most of his wealth. And what he used to do was very interesting. Every morning in his office, anyone who went, especially the patients who required financial help, he would give them the money, and before that he would give them some breakfast. That was a way of, a very compassionate way. He never turned away anybody.
Beautiful. The friend who always gave to all.
Besides he's giving large amounts to the hospitals for opening the wards, etc. But the most interesting was individually he would take care of them.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other sharing? Very quickly. Anyone likes to unmute and speak?
Yes, I would like to say that also our seniors that have paved the path for new people like me to be able to follow with their teachings and with their powerful meditations, and have dedicated many, many, many hours in Tapasya and teaching people. And I think that's the greatest act of generosity.
Thank you. So in the spiritual path that they have paved for you. Yeah. Okay, I think we can take one more sharing if anybody ready to quickly share. Any new people? Okay, so Pooja sister, you can put it up. Just we got very few only. So as Pooja sister shows it up, so that's good to reflect on the people who are around you and what is that they share. That's the generous acts that inspires, motivates you. So facilitators and speakers sharing knowledge and cooperation, the friend who gives away wealth, a breakfast, money as needed, the spiritual seniors who have paved the path for all of us. So yeah, thank you so much. With this, let's move into now the self as Brother Manoj will take us through the next exercises.
Okay, so thank you so much, Sister Anu. And before we forget, I don't know, hope you're able to hear me. I'm not cutting off. Again, its internet is saying it's unstable. So if there are new participants who have joined for the first time, please share your email addresses and WhatsApp numbers. So it will be helpful. Okay.
Yeah, now you're audible. Sorry, we
Okay.
heard you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. So let's move on to the next activity. And before we go there, I just want to let you know that what we do in these workshops is we start showing you all some videos or something or the other to stimulate your mind, the conscious layer of the mind, to just think about qualities closely related to that virtue or value, which you have already done through various acts which you all saw in the video, and also the person whom you reflected. And now I'm sure all of us have a lot of generous acts in the past as well. So before we move on planning stage in our workshops, let me just take you in a visualization mode, meditative visualization I like to call. So I would request all of you all for the next say around 4-5 minutes to put your pens and papers down, and I'll be giving you a few thoughts. You can churn on those, and maybe I'll be taking you to your workplace or to your house where you're working constantly as well, even if you're a homemaker. So let's move on this journey. I'll share the screen.
Manoj brother, I request not to share. I'll share because it may cut off your internet, and also you'll switch off the video. So that's what was happening at the beginning. Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so take a few deep breaths in and out. Let us try to visualize the self as this pure being of light, situated in the center of the forehead. And as you do so, you start becoming silent inside. Silence, my original nature, peace, my original virtue. And as you look at this silent core inside, we all know that generosity is at the heart of every soul. We are all intrinsically born to give. So for the next exercise, for the action planning, let me just see myself at my workplace, or even myself at home doing different things. While working, look at yourself. What is my thought process inside? Because I can give a lot to the world through my thoughts. And that is the generosity of thoughts. Coming to the next faculty is my words. Again, if I think beautiful about any person, my words will also reflect those. So generosity, and lastly, the more gross level, the action level, which we all are aware of, and we have discussed that since the last half hour. Giving away something or the other to someone who is in need of that. So my generous actions look at what are those behaviors and actions, particularly at workplace. So with this, we move on to the next slide. Anu sister, you can progress to the next slide. So as you can see, this activity is all about being generous in your action at workplace or at home. And what we'll do in this activity, a simple reflection on the next slide, please, that how can I change my behaviors, and for that I need to also change my words. And as I told you in the visualization, we need to work on our thoughts. So basically, what words and behaviors can I adopt at workplace or home, which will help me in improving on my generosity towards others? So you have to reflect on words and behaviors. And this is what we call the takeaway of the workshop, the action planning mode. So we'll spend a couple of minutes with some silent music in the background for you all to reflect on. And you can start sharing in the chat box if you wish. So I think, Anu sister, we can stop sharing the screen. Yeah, and take a few sharings. It's a bit challenged today. I don't know, for some reason the internet is just going on and off. So I wouldn't be able to read the previous message.
So we can't hear you, Manoj brother. I think the internet is not supporting. Yeah, if you're back, otherwise we'll. Okay.
Is someone speaking? No, not yet.
No,
Okay.
I think your internet is not supporting at
Yeah.
the moment.
It's drama, can't help. Okay, yeah, so in the meanwhile, I'll start reading from the chat box because there are quite a few sharings in that. Own sharings. So words you are saying, appreciative words, which also Dr. Mehta has mentioned. And just to let you know, the next workshop talk will be on appreciation. So we'll go in the depth in the workshop on appreciation. So that's beautiful words of appreciation. Behavior is that thoughts should be I am a peaceful soul and each one around me. So it's not words and behaviors, but it all starts from the thoughts. So that's fine. Dr. Mehta is saying about sweet words of appreciation and positive vibrations and special skills which he has. He will give it to everyone he comes across. So in the behavior, so words I'll take, it will be again appreciation, which will give or it will transduce positive vibrations, and behaviors will be special skills. So that's fine. Vidhi sister is saying two beautiful values, willingness and humility. So I think this will translate in the behavior. Willingness to help and humility while being generous. So it's not being showy, oh I'm giving, but being humble and giving. Okay, Vijay Bhai is again saying speak slowly, less and softly. So we have this beautiful slogan here in the organization, what we say. Kam bolo, which is speak less. Meetha bolo, which is sweet words. And softly, dheere bolo. Right. So I think I'll just take your chat box sharings because they are just going on. And I hope I'm not cutting now. So Vijay, Jagdish Bhai is saying, for me, generosity is in simple words for me or others is very good in all situations. So okay, so telling people very good in all situations, yeah, it is being generous. Good, that's a new one. And as a feedback in response to their mistakes, and they are asking for support. Beautiful. So if someone is doing a mistake and we still say that's fine, very good, that's fine, okay. Action level, so again behaviors was giving love, peace and happiness. So that's Vijay Bhai sharing on that. A few in English I'll take. I'm sorry, apologies, we can't take the languages which we are not able to understand, so please bear with us. We are not trying to ignore you all, but it's difficult. With my smile, beautiful. Archana is up. In the meantime, I can ask the translators to translate whatever has been written in English so we can read it when it comes back to us. Yeah, Varadarajan Bhai is saying again the power of silence and spreading positive vibrations. Right. Anu sister is saying, so I think I don't know where to put this, accepting and non-judgmental heart for all. Yeah, so it should come in behaviors as well. Yeah, acceptance and non-judgmental. Okay. Again, Micheline is saying, think before you speak. Silence is always good. Okay, so in the words, I think we can write this, that think before you speak. Beautiful. Yeah, so a lot of deep sharings you'll have given. And if someone is motivated to speak, we have 2-3 minutes. If you all want to share some experience about what you all want to do at your workplace. Okay, so today you all are wanting to be in silence. Silence is golden. Speech is silver, as we know. So that's fine. But the chat box sharings were quite effective. So let's look at those sharings, Pooja sister, if we can just share it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so you all can see, I think the rocking for words and sweet words. I remember the smile which Archana sister said, smile at the workplace. Other behaviors, two values which Vidhi sister pointed out beautifully is the willingness to help and humility. Archana sister is also right now writing being a good listener. So being a good listener, we'll add that later. And accepting and non-judgmental heart for all. Right, great. So a lot of material to churn on that, how we can really change our behavior and words. At least let us start on that level. Though we are not able to do it on a thought level, but let us start with at least the behavior and words, and then gradually as we start practicing more and more meditation, whichever meditation you want to do, you can start
So that is also happening today, generous heart of acceptance, because we call it drama. So because Brother Manoj is joining from Gyan Sarovar, Madhuban, Mount Abu, so we can't.
So I think the moment I'm sharing it cuts off. So you picked it out right. So I think you just keep sharing it. So I'll just go on then.
I'll do
That's
that.
fine. Yeah. Yeah. So good you noticed that at least. And now I realize that the moment I start sharing it just goes off. Okay. Yeah. Right. So and thank you so much. It is this technology. It's good to have more people around always. Right. So we'll go on the first slide. So Sudha Didi was sharing quite a bit about her experiences of life. Next slide, please. Oh, am I stuck again? No. Yeah. Right. So she was mentioning about a big heart, being generous, and very important, not expecting anything in return. Because sometimes when we give something, we expect, oh, I have given so much. At least a little bit of thank you should come from the other side. No, that's not being generous. So not even expecting this word of thank you from anyone. And she said that though this generosity is a value by itself, but each value has underlying virtues hidden within it. So I would rather, because I typed it later, yesterday we were discussing, Gayatri Behan very beautifully pointed this out, that value is something external. हमारा मूल्य क्यों होता है? Why am I valuable? Because I'm exhibiting that value externally in some way or the other, so that the people are able to see. And that value is because there is some virtue inside of me that is intrinsically present in me, which is making my behavior go on that value. So this also Sudha Didi had pointed that day, and she gave this beautiful example of our campus here in Pandav Bhavan in Mount Abu. Right now I'm here, in one of the campuses. So good old days in 60 to 69, when the organization was just picking up, and there were not many places of accommodation we had. So it was just 800 accommodation beds that time in one or two campuses, but we used to have 3,000 visitors. So it was all the seniors of the organization, which we really respectfully call them as dadis. They used to just accommodate. They used to say, don't say no to anyone. Be generous. Have a big heart. Let all of them come. That's the beauty of the organization. Next slide. Before we go on, next slide is fine. It just reminds me, there's a lot of difference between generosity and donation. You all covered a little bit on donation in the sharings, but I think Sudha Didi also touched upon this. Donation is something which you have in excess and which you just want to sort of get rid of in one way. Not a right word, get rid of, but something which you have in excess and you don't really mind sharing that. But generosity is something which you don't really have. And that's the next slide is all about this. Like you yourself don't have that, but you are really able to give it with a big heart. So this was about Draupadi. You can see, you have heard these stories. She was feeding with just 1 grain of rice, and therefore this vessel is called Akshay Patra. It's a beautiful Sanskrit word. Patra means a vessel, and Akshay means shay. Shay means something which is sort of vinashi, which gets destroyed or which gets over soon. But akshay, means, when we put in Hindi, it means in Sanskrit, it doesn't get empty. So that's akshay patra. Brahma Kumari is another example which Didi gave, that there was no money in the organization in the early days, which we call beggary days, the so-called beggary days. But somehow or the other, the divine Supreme Soul used to do something. Someone used to send some money and the children used to be fed. Same thing when the Brahma Kumari center started in Delhi. The first few centers, Didi Manmohini was instrumental. There was no official big centers like we have now, ORC for example. But that time, even the few mothers who used to come from homes, they used to get one bowl of rice, one bowl of, say, oil or cooking oil or something like that, and help it. So these are those examples of generosity which is you yourself don't have, but in some way or the other, because you have a big heart, you can accommodate all this. You can sort of give it. Next slide, please. Then we move on to when we are generous, what are our gestures? So you'll have covered that. Actually, we covered that in the last activity in the action planning. So first is generous words. We spoke a lot about that. Appreciation, being sweet, and empowering other souls by just your words. That is a beautiful seva, what we call a beautiful service. So and it is not just lip service, like not on the face value that you are just praising someone or appreciating for the sake of doing. No, it is something coming from internally. We'll be doing that. I'm just when we cover the next workshop, we'll be doing in appreciation. What are the basic 4 tenets of appreciation? We'll cover that detail later. As I mentioned, sharing when you don't have enough. So that is something which I've already covered. Forgiveness. That's another thing. I think another behavior which we can work on action planning mode, as I said before. If someone has done something, I think one sharing came there that, Jagdish Bhai said that whatever mistakes they have done, you can still tell them. That's good, that's fine. It's not that you're trying to take a person, oh yes, that's fine, whatever you do is fine. No, but you're not trying to make him feel guilty at that point of time. So that way you are being generous and forgiving him. And as I said at the first slide as well, no expectations at all. Zero expectation. Not even a simple thank you I want in return. Oh, I did so much. People have this very subtle things. Not big things like in donation. If I would want to give an example here, what people do is they donate some money and they expect their names to come on the walls or some way or the other as a token of their involvement, their appreciation. But we have to go on a spiritual level. When we say generosity, Didi was trying to say here that absolutely zero expectation. You do, and I think in Hindi I'll just say, it reminds me of it here, neki kar darya mein dal, which means you do good deeds, you do compassionate deeds, kind deeds, generous deeds, but forget about that. So let go. Don't think you're the one who's doing it. So we'll move on to the next slide. Yeah. Okay. When we are generous, what are the effects of being generous? In the sense, what else do I receive? So the most important thing is we say duaएं kamana. It reminds me of Dadi Janki. She used to say her entire life, 85% time she's healthy because of people's blessings. So when we start doing generous deeds, unconditional, absolutely niswarth, no thought of getting in return anything, then people will automatically start giving you blessings. And I think that's the beauty of being generous. And blessings really make wonders in life, because again, it reminds me of Dadi Janki. She says her health is because 85% she's healthy due to blessings from others. And she was a soul who used to just keep giving all the time. Second thing, love. This virtue then automatically starts radiating around if you're all the time generous. And this reminds us of another value which we are again covering. I think mercy is coming up next time as well. Next month, actually, all these virtues overlap with each other. So next month we are covering on mercy and appreciation. First is appreciation followed by mercy. So we'll go in the depth of that. So if I'm very generous, it automatically radiates this virtue of mercy also from me. So that's what she said. And with this, we don't have to forget that in the meditation we spoke about that God is the source of all this generosity. He's the ocean of all the virtues, but particularly today if we speak, we say Rahm ka sagar, Daya ka sagar. So ocean of mercy and also ocean of generosity. We'll move on to the next one. Then Didi gave a beautiful example of Mother Earth. Like Mother Earth, I don't need to go in details. It is just giving you so many things, everything. And all the physical tattva, which we call the physical elements of nature, all of them exist to just give. The rivers, they just keep flowing. They give water to the others who are thirsty, but the river will never drink its own water. Same thing, the trees, they are all the people around, but the tree never takes its own fruit, never eats its own fruit. So this is what Didi was trying to say here, that mother, hope I'm again audible now because again it showed internet was unstable, but please bear with me for that. So Mother Earth is, she's just displaying all this in her attitude. And same thing, you know, our body five, it's built of those five elements, all the five elements, earth, space, air, etc. So the purpose of our human existence also is, when we say human being, so being is the part which I'm not touching now, but when we say human, human derives from word humus. So since all these five elements are present in us, so therefore our original nature also and the existence of human life is to just keep giving and serving others, because service to man is service to God. That's what Didi said. Right, we'll move on to the next one now, and I think that will be the second last or last one. Yeah, very important to strike this balance, because sometimes we are not able to strike this balance. If you are so generous, there can be a chance to get wastage. So we have to be very, very careful of not wasting resources, and therefore we have to strike this beautiful balance of generosity and economy. So we need to know, yes, I have to give to people, help them, but at the same time be economical, make sure nothing is getting wasted. But again, to that end, again, economy, if you go on the fag end of economy, it's good that you are not a miser, but you are able to spend your resources or use them in a tactful way so that nothing goes waste. And also she was saying about the balance which we are taught here of love and law, that you sometimes are so generous and loveful towards others that you may tend to waste something, and the person may not take care of that, for whom strict in that aspect. And here it reminds me of a slogan which is coming on the next slide, or in the question and answer session which we did with Sudha Didi, is about Adhar Murat and Uddhar Murat. I'll just explain this in Hindi. So when we say so two other words, as I said, Adhar and Uddhar. Adhar means support and Uddhar means uplifting. So Sudha Didi mentioned here that when a soul is generous, so it's a very good mode of upliftment. And says also, as I said, Adhar, which means support. You're supporting that soul. So these two beautiful teachings are from the divine versions which we heard at the Brahma Kumaris. And also, yeah, we have to be very careful that the soul whom we are doing a lot of things for, we should
Oh, we couldn't hear Manoj Bhai. Maybe we'll give a few more seconds. Maybe brother is back. It's beautiful compilation of the talk that was given by Sudha Didi last weekend on generosity, and the whole team have prepared this beautiful PowerPoint. Our sister Pooja prepares it, and we send it in the review materials after the session. So whoever have joined new today, you can leave your contact information, emails on the chat box. Then we'll send you out these review materials, as well as you'll receive all the upcoming programs info. So take that opportunity. I think we'll just move to the next slide until Brother Manoj joins back.
Yeah, so I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. It's really a play. It's first time its internet is creating so much of havoc. So I think we just have 3 more minutes left, and we'll just skip the question answer. We'll just take one question answer. Did you all? I was speaking about the quote, so I hope you all were able to listen to that when I said
We
that.
didn't, so you can share the
Yeah,
quote.
so I'll just speak about this is Sudha Didi's sharing. She said, attitude of sharing is of utmost importance, and a big heart attracts abundance, and a small heart remains unfulfilled. I was sharing a small story here that people who are really not rich, who are just mediocre or even maybe poor, they have really got a big heart. I remember many examples from my childhood also, when we used to go to a relative's place. They just had a small house, just 2 rooms. One is the kitchen and the other is the room where they are staying. But we used to just get accommodated over there, and they used to say, if your heart is big, your house doesn't need to be big. I'm sure all of you have experienced that. So with this, I would like to just go on the question answer session. The next slide. Yeah, I'm sure we discussed. Did you all hear this Aadhar and Uddhar Murat?
Yeah, we
The
did.
support and okay. So support and upliftment. And yeah, a very interesting question was, someone was asking, if I don't have enough and if I'm generous all the time, I'll be empty. So very beautifully, Pooja sister has put this up. You can't pour from an empty cup. So you really can't be generous unless you yourself are full. And I'm sure Sister Luciana will give us more tips on how to fill myself and then be generous. And obviously that can be done by connecting with the Supreme. Yes, so good. I can at least do the introduction and the poem. And I'm sure Sister Luciana is around. So you can just stop sharing, Anu sister, no problem now. Thanks. I hope I'm audible as well without cutting. So we have with us our national coordinator all the way from Brazil. So welcome, Sister Luciana. And before I pass it on to her, I would just give a brief introduction. So she is basically a social
Okay, so let's hold on. That's good. Generous heart. Let's check our generous hearts. Brother Manoj will be joining back in a few seconds. Just let's give a few seconds. Welcome, Sister Luciana.
Posso falar? Om.
Oh.
Om Shanti, greetings of love, greetings of peace to my dear sister Anu, my dear brother Manoj, all the team, all the viewers of this session on generosity. You have been accompanying this topic since last week. We had Sister Sudha from Russia sharing with us about the same topic. Then this morning for me, evening for you. Here is 12 midday now. You already discussed about various examples of being generous, of opening the heart and sharing whatever resources we have. And now I'm going again to share more on the same topic. So you are going to have a full view of this possibility of this value of generosity. As Brother Manoj was...
Sister Luciana, just give me 1 second. I want to tell to all the interpreters to unmute themselves and start interpreting. So there is interpretation going on in Portuguese, Spanish, and French. So I hope you have started. because I think Spanish people were not able to hear because she was not unmuted. So could I see a hand from all the interpreters? They're unmuted. All good?
Okay, so Anu sister, sorry, can you hear me? I'm sorry to
Yes,
interrupt.
we can hear you now, brother. And Sister Luciana started, but yes, you can introduce. As long as we can hear you, we want to take the opportunity.
No, I'm sorry. I don't want to disturb Sister Luciana. I'll just quickly share the poem, if you don't mind, Sister Luciana.
You're most welcome, Brother Manoj.
Thank you for this. So I'll just take 2 more minutes. So on this occasion, which is so auspicious, Sister's presence indeed is so divine and gracious. She has achieved everything by being precautious. Precautious is to get everything early. And she radiates the beautiful smile, which is indeed so infectious. By her intrinsic nature, she's so kind and generous and tells us through her wisdom how to be precautious, so that in life, we then don't need to feel anxious. And lastly, today, she'll talk about how to develop generosity, which is the virtue which helps in dealing with every adversity. The world is indeed so full of diversity and teaches us at every step how to develop the tenacity as if we are studying either in a college or university. So once again, thank you so much for joining us, Sister Luciana, and I'm sorry to interrupt in your sharing. I didn't know you already started. So over to you. Thank you once again.
Thank you once again, Brother Manoj. In fact, this topic is very, very appropriate for the moment that we are living in Brazil, in our country. Brazil, one of the biggest countries in South America. It's the month of December, and December is the month that we celebrate Christmas. And Christmas for us is the most important festival and the most important holiday, because we are the biggest Catholic country in the world. So there are millions and millions of people who will be celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ during the 25th of December. And during this month, it's the time not just to sharing presents, gifts, and also to dressing new clothes and eating good food in the same style as you do in Diwali time in November in India. But it's also a time where people expand their hearts to forgive others, to reconnect with souls that they had problems during the year, to overcome differences in the relationships that they had maybe in the past year, especially now. The pandemic was very, very hard in our country. More than 600,000 people died because of the virus in Brazil during last 2 years. So it's a time that people suffered a lot. So to discuss, to share on generosity, it's a very appropriate topic and virtue for us to share. So I appreciate that I was invited to share on this very important topic. I also appreciated to be invited because I feel that generosity is one of my specialties. I feel that Baba God gave me this opportunity to be generous with whatever resources and specialties I had in my life. So I feel very comfortable. I feel very easy to share on a virtue that it's not just theory for me, but it's something that I have been practicing in my life. I've been 42 years connected with the Brahma Kumaris, and so I had many, many years and opportunities to experience the virtue of generosity. And it's in fact one of the most beautiful virtues because it reminds us of God. It's definitely one of the virtues that God bestows on us So thank you for this opportunity. I also feel that whenever I think of the big heart, which is the symbol of generosity, there is one word that I especially like, and the word is to feel an expanded heart. Not just a big heart, but an expanded heart. A heart that can expand and can include many others in whatever situation, especially the difficult situations that we are in. And I know that you had already a workshop before me. I heard the beautiful points that you shared about Sister Sudha's topic last week. And so I want to start my sharing with a moment of meditation, which will be a meditation more like a reflection on the subject of generosity. So if all of you can sit comfortably and can be with your eyes open or closed as you prefer, doesn't matter. And just think about what generosity means to you and in which way you feel comfortable, you feel that you are related to this virtue of generosity. I also want to invoke in you the thoughts, the feelings, the attitudes, the actions that you have when you feel that you have an expanded heart. What does it make your heart to expand? What kind of thoughts? What kind of feelings? What kind of actions that make your heart bigger, that can include not just one or two people that you love, not just your friends and your relatives, but can include the whole humanity. And at the opposite, what are the thoughts and feelings and actions that make your heart to shrink, to become small? And when your heart is small, you don't feel content with yourself. We don't value ourselves when our hearts shrink. We don't feel that we are revealing God on earth because God is generous. And if we have a small heart, it's just of not being a child of God. And if you could make a simple plan, very simple plan with 2 or 3 items, what could you do in your life so that you could have this expanded heart, this big heart, this generous heart? What would be this simple plan? What do you have to do? What do you have to feel? What do you have to think? If you want, if you are determined, if you decided that you have to have a big heart. So just with these thoughts in our mind, we can come back and let's start sharing on the topic. As we have seen in Sister Sudha's presentation, she reminded of us of many aspects, of the basic aspects of generosity. Generosity connected to the material world, to the physical world. What can we do in terms of giving gifts, giving food, giving clothes, the workshop that we had before I came on screen. It was many good examples, many very beautiful examples of people sharing about their the gifts that they gave. Even we saw my dear brother Ashok Mehta sharing when he had to change his house. Many furnitures, many objects in his house became obsolete. And so he was able to give to the Raja Yoga Center and to other people who claimed to have these goods that before it was in his house. So generosity, first of all, is connected with this aspect of giving material things, financial things. But generosity can also be of giving other aspects, more subtle aspects, and we are going to discuss on that. But I want to start with a story. It's a very beautiful story that maybe some of you have already heard this story because it's a well-known story. There was a small farmer, a poor farmer, and one day, and this was in Scotland, in the United Kingdom, and he one day heard some screams, someone calling, and he went near the pond, near the bog that had in this area, and he saw a young boy in the middle of the pond, and he was not being able to come out of it. So he was screaming, very frightful, because he thought that he would be able to die if no one would come and help him. So this simple farmer went and rescued this young boy from that pond. And the young boy became very, very thankful to the farmer to have done that. So next day, a very rich guy came to the farmer's property. He came in his very rich carriage, and he said to the farmer, "Yesterday, you saved the life of my son. So I want to retribute and to give you some money in respect for you to have done that act of benevolence and that act of charity." And the farmer said, "No way, I cannot accept any money from you because I did this just from my honor, from my heart, because how I could see a young boy dying near my property and I would not do anything, so I will not accept any money. Thank you so much," which is a sign of real generosity that doesn't accept anything in return. So this rich man again said, "Okay, let me do something." At this point, the young child, son of the farmer, came at the door. So the rich man said, "I will give very good education and study to my son. Let me give you the same study and the same education to your son." And the farmer accepted. So this young boy, the son of the farmer, had the opportunity to study medicine and had his career in the very prestigious St. Mary's Hospital in Scotland. And the story goes on because at a certain point, this young student, who was a medical doctor now, discovered penicillin. He was Alexander Fleming. This was the poor boy, son of the poor farmer who had the opportunity to study in one of the biggest universities in the United kingdom through the generosity of this rich man. And in this story, the son of this rich man again needed help because he had pneumonia and he was cured by the penicillin discovered by Alexander Fleming. And this boy, who was now a grown-up person, was Winston Churchill, who was the first minister of United Kingdom. So we see that in this story, through the generosity of the farmer who rescued the boy from the pond, and through the generosity of the Sir Randolph Churchill, the father of Winston Churchill, a beautiful story was created of giving and sharing generosity. So we can see that the generosity is not just to give material things, gifts, and food for the poor, even though this is very, very high and it's also elevated. But in the Bhagavad Gita, the main scripture of India, it says in a very beautiful way that charity, when we give something, we give food or we give gifts, charity has of 3 levels. You can have charity of the highest level, which is called sattvic charity. You can have charity of second and middle level, which is called the rajasic level. And you can have charity of the inferior level, which is called tamasic charity. So charity of the highest quality, like Brother Manoj was sharing before, is charity when you don't have expectation, you don't see the result of your charity. You do it because it's your duty. It's your spiritual greatness. It's your spiritual honor. It's your duty as a child of God to give, to share with others. And you don't expect to have your name on the wall of the hospital that you helped to build. You don't want to see your name on the newspaper of your community because you gave lots of toys for the children, the poor children in Christmas. So the highest form of charity is the highest form of generosity. Then we can have generosity, express our generosity through our thoughts, through our feelings, and through our cooperation. And this is also a more subtle way to express our generosity. And through this kind of generosity, you open possibilities in the life of people. You can help with helping people in their growing, their development, their spiritual development, their mental development, their abilities. And all of these are ways of creating, showing your generosity. So generosity, when you open doors for many people to learn and to develop themselves. I want to share another story, and this story is very close to me because it's the story of someone in my family. I have a sister who is 7 years younger than me. And my sister is very Christian. She's very Catholic. She's very dedicated to her beliefs and to the way that she sees her communion with God. And 12 years ago, she adopted a young boy. He was just 5 years at that time. And he was living in a hospital because he was victim of a fight between his father and his uncle. And in this fight, his uncle shot a gun to his father, and the gun reached the young boy who was just 5 years old at that time. And my nephew now, he became tetraplegic, not just paraplegic, but tetraplegic. He doesn't move anything from his neck down. The only movement that he has is a little bit of the movement of the right hand. And this boy was living in a hospital, in the intensive care of a hospital, because he needs 24 hours of care and attention. So imagine when my sister saw that, and my sister came to know him, my sister adopted this boy and brought to our family. So this boy is now 17, and he is doing the exams to enter the university. And through love, through care, through a lot of physiotherapy, he's able now to type on the computer. He has a computer, he has all his gadgets. That's how he writes and he communicates. He speaks well. He has mental faculties well, because it didn't affect his head up, but just affected from neck down. And he's loved by the whole family, my parents, my other sisters, his sisters. He has 4 sisters who love him, his father, his mother. So generosity is connected to many other virtues. So in this case, generosity is connected with the virtue of courage. How many of you would have the courage to adopt a 5 years boy that was tetraplegic? So it's a really honor for me. It's an inspiration for me to see what my sister has done because of her big heart, because of her generosity, and because of her courage. And like this, we see that generosity is connected to so many beautiful stories and many beautiful virtues, because God is the bestower of fortune. And fortune is not just a physical thing. It's just not money. It's not just a big account in the bank, but fortune is to have this quality and to be a great person, a high human being. When we look around ourselves in the world, we see that people are so small in general. People don't have many qualities. People we live in a world with so much violence. We live in a world with so much corruption, that when we see acts of generosity like this, it's really a beautiful opportunity to value and to have this feeling of how great is the creation of God, how great still some people are in the world. Also, generosity is connected to donation of virtues, not just donation of material things, but donation of virtues. When we inspire someone, when we motivate someone, when we forgive someone, we are showing generosity in movement. We are showing generosity in action. Virtues like compassion, for instance. So beautiful, the stories of compassion for the ones less fortunate ones, for the ones who are poor, for the ones who have some disability, compassion for the ones who need our attention. One of the beautiful ways of showing compassion is to listen to others. People need to be listened. Many of the diseases, the illnesses that we have in the world nowadays is because people feel that they are not listened. They want to open their hearts. They want to share their stories. They want to share their difficulties, and they want someone to listen about their difficulties. So compassion is a beautiful way of expressing generosity. And I have another story about compassion. The story goes that the Buddha of compassion came on earth. This is a myth, a legend, came on earth in the form of a parrot, a small bird. And one day this bird was flying around the forest, but the forest was very dry because many days without any rain. And so the whole trees and the plants were really wanting some water. And at one point, a twig came from a branch, came from a tree. And in the movement, in the crashing of the branch on the floor, some fire erupted. And this fire, because the forest was very dry, very quickly started to expand this fire. And this little bird could fly, so could go beyond the fire, could go on the top of the fire. But then he was listening the cries and the screams of the animals in the forest, and the small parrot didn't know how to help in this situation. So what the parrot did, went to the river, sink himself in the river and came out full with some drops of water, went on the forest and sprinkled the forest with this water, and then came out again, went to the river again, and then again sprinkled the little drops of water onto the forest. But how these little drops from this little bird could help in helping they extinguish the fire in the forest. And then on the top, on this sky, some devatas, some deities were seeing the bird just going forward, back and forth from the river, and the devatas started to laugh and started to say to the bird, "Bird, you are going to die. You are going to burn yourself. You are going to feel exhausted. Why do you continue to do this? Your little little drops will not be able to help the forest to extinguish the fire." And the little bird just responded, "But I'm doing what I have to do. I can do this much, and so I'm do because I have compassion for my friends. I have compassion for the other animals in the forest." So the bird continued his job, just going and throwing water on the forest. And one of the devatas felt a lot of compassion for the bird. So this devata transformed himself in a golden eagle and came down and said to the parrot, "My little bird, you are going to die. You are going to feel exhausted. Don't do this. Don't continue doing this." And the bird said, "No, while we have this fire in the forest, I will continue to do it." So this devata, now transformed in a golden eagle, said, "Okay, let me help you then." And the eagle started to cry golden drops, golden tears. And the tears of the eagle were so big that very soon the whole forest, the fire was extinguished through the rain that came from the cry of this eagle, which in fact was a Devita. So the action, the small action, the attitude of the bird provoked the mercy, the compassion of the Devita, who could reign over the forest, and all the animals could save themselves and could be happy that now they were saved. So this is a story to show how compassion and generosity are so close together as twin virtues, and so important that when we have this big feeling, big heart towards others, we get the help of the universe. We get the help of the subtle energy of God for sure. Another aspect that it's very important, and Brother Manoj did mention this when he was sharing, is that generosity has to be real, cannot be artificial. Because generosity that it's artificial will not last. And the real generosity is what make people to feel great and feel that they were helped. Because when the generosity is artificial, the person who is receiving the donation, the person who is receiving the act of generosity feel small. So when you have an artificial generosity, it means that you have arrogance and you make the other one who is receiving feeling small. And so this is not the real generosity, because the real generosity makes the other people to rise up, make the other people not to feel bad because they are receiving something, but they feel that it's their right. They feel that it's their honor to be able to receive. So it's very important that, but for you to be real in your generosity, you have to be fulfilled. You cannot be empty, because if you are empty, you are not able to share. And in this way, generosity is really similar to benevolence. And one of the titles of God is that He's Shiva, the benevolent one, because God makes us feel great. God gives us so many treasures, but He never takes anything from us. And He never makes us feel small. He never makes us feel that we are a beggar, but He makes us feel that we are His children, and we have the greatness and the honor to receive everything that we need from Him. Another aspect of generosity is that generosity activates our capacity to serve. To be a server, it means to be able to be an instrument of God in bringing whatever is needed to our family, to our friends, to our world, to the nature around us. So this ability of serving is one of the 4 pillars of Raja Yoga, because together with spiritual knowledge, together with the capacity of connecting with God, which we call meditation, together with the capacity of expressing virtues in our behavior, we have this fourth aspect, which is to serve. The ones who are real children of God, they will have this natural capacity of bringing benefit to the world that we live in. Service is just like a vocation. It's just like we cannot stay without serving. The ones who have a generous heart, they are serving naturally as their as if their nature is to serve. So it's very important to recall this quality, this aspect of being an instrument of God, always on service, bringing benefit to others. Another aspect of generosity that it's required is to have an innocent quality. You could say that innocence is similar to humility. You could say that it's necessary to be innocent, to be generous. God is able to be benevolent to us because he's innocent. He doesn't see our shortcomings. He is someone that doesn't see our defects. He doesn't see the aspects that our mistakes. He doesn't judge us. He doesn't blame us. So to be innocent, it means that you don't see the faults on others, because people are so impure nowadays. People are so full of defects nowadays, but we have to focus our attention on their pure soul, their original soul, their original quality of being a pure being, as God teaches us, as God does with us. Imagine if God would be seeing our defects and our problems, we would feel very bad in front of him. But he just sees our specialities, he just sees our qualities and our original purity. So for us to be generous, we also have to be innocent. And last aspect that I want to share about benevolence before we finish with some minutes of meditation is that generosity is also connected to gratitude. Gratitude to have this wonderful body that helps us to move, that helps us to make actions, that helps us to walk here and there, that helps us to think, to feel, to eat, to cook. Gratitude for the nature around us, nature that gives us the earth for us to be on it, to eat from it, the air that helps us to breathe, the wind that cleans the air, to give us the fire that destroys the old things, and the fire in our digestion system, the fire that it's in our body, it's our digestion. And so it's very important also, and the water, our 70 to 80% of our body is water, and the water that helps us to clean our bodies, to clean our houses, to clean the nature. So to have gratitude, it's a very important aspect of generosity. To have this gratitude, to make a list of gratitude for everything that life bestowed upon you. Gratitude for all the opportunities and the possibilities that you had in your life. The gratitude for being able to know about spirituality, to know about values, to be able to attend such a workshop like we are having today, and since 1 year that we are having these workshops and these lectures on values. Gratitude to the ones who organize this program, gratitude to the ones who are translating these programs that are bringing benefit to so many people. So as you can see, this quality of generosity is a very major one. We could say that the one who is generous is just like a master God, is just like God. So I thank you the opportunity to be able to share some of these thoughts with you. And I invite you now to have some moments of meditation before we close our program. So I invite you to sit down in a very comfortable position and just breathe very deeply 2 or 3 times, feeling connected to your body, which is relaxed. And our breath is a wonderful way to help us to concentrate. Because as we concentrate in the movement of the breath inside of our body, we feel more focused, we feel more attentive, and we bring our attention to the middle of our forehead. And we experience who we really are. We are this tiny living light that we call soul, that lives in our bodies. We are this living being, the metaphysical being, this being of light, this being of peace, this being of love, this being of power. As I focus my attention on my soul, I feel powerful. I feel that I have control over my energy. I feel that it's very easy to communicate with the Supreme Being, with God, the Supreme Light, the source of all virtues, the source of all generosity, the benevolent one. And I just open myself like a small flower. I open my petals and I just allow myself to receive the light, the radiance from this spiritual sun. Rays of virtues are falling on me. And I'm especially open to receive the quality of generosity from God. I am fulfilling myself, replenishing myself with this beautiful virtue of generosity. So I just visualize rays of generosity coming into myself. And now I can distribute this generosity. First, I can distribute it to my family and my friends. I can circle my city and my country with this light of generosity. And finally, I can embrace the whole world with this beautiful virtue of just generosity. As if I could give drops of generosity like that little bird to the whole world who is dying in anger, in arrogance. I can just share whatever qualities I have inside of me with the whole brothers and sisters around the world. And having again a deep breath, I come back from these moments of experience. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Sister Anu, hope I'm audible. Yeah, you are not audible.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Can you hear
fine,
me?
thanks. Yeah, so I'm clear, I'm not cutting right now. Okay, thanks. So thank you so much, Sister Luciana. It was amazing, and I just loved the stories which you were telling. It. I felt it should just go on and on. I think 3 or 4 stories were there. I missed one of them. And I missed in the introduction to tell one important point, that while I was in Brazil in 2016, you were very generous in organizing a lot of service in Rio and Sao Paulo. I still remember that. Hope you also remember. It's been 5 years
Yes,
ago.
of course, I remember, Brother
And
Manoj.
I do remember, I mean, I know you from that time. So, and actually we were wanting to keep you in the last year as well, but things were not there. So its drama is perfect. So now I would request Dr. Ashok Mehta is generously all the time. So if you can
I
just
also
propose
have
the
the
vote of
honor.
thanks.
I also had the honor to receive Brother Ashok Mehta in Brazil. So it was my honor to receive Brother Manoj and Brother Ashok Mehta in Brazil. Thank you so much for your visit.
It's a great privilege and a pleasure to thank Sister Luciana. Well, I was in Sao Paulo, I don't remember, but about 7, 8 years back. And I had been to the center, which was in the house of Sister Luciana. And Brother Ken used to walk from there, and he was traveling across South America at that point of time. So I missed him at that point. But I know the story of the great contribution the family of Sister Luciana has done, and the service that she has given to South America, the southern part, in Brazil, and probably in Argentina, Chile, etc., is outstanding. What I realized when I was listening to Sister Luciana's stories and generosities, the multiple aspects of generosity and compassion, I feel the most compassionate have been the Brahma Kumaris. They have given their entire life, the total life, given to the service of mankind. I think this is one of the things which probably none of you will ever share or tell, but there are people who may not be associated with the BKs, and therefore I think I'm just sharing with them. There are 30,000 sisters and brothers who have dedicated their entire life to the cause of Baba's Gyan, that is propagating Raj Yoga based on purity and remembrance of God and service to the mankind. I think this is the most outstanding example of the virtue that we're talking about. And Sister Luciana is a very good example of how a person can work in a Catholic country like Brazil and talk of deities and devatas and tell us the stories. So beautiful. They're like stories from Panchatantra. So I think we're very, very fortunate to have this beautiful session with Sister Luciana. And of course, I must say that generosity is also very open in the work of this team of the values. Manoj Bhai, Anu Bain, sister, Vancouver, and there's so many people who are associated in bringing this beautiful program across the world to multiple nations, right from where Manoj Bhai is sitting today, from Gyan Sarovar down to Brazil. So I think we're very, very fortunate. I think this again is a sign of great generosity of giving what we have in terms of values. I also see the sister Pooja from Nagpur is putting everything on the computer immediately and is showing in slides all over the world. Thank you very much, Sister Luciana, and all the members of the team. Om Shanti.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
brother
Dr.
Shokmita. I just wanted to say, because I'm so familiar with the Bhagavad Gita and all the stories from India, not just because 40 years in connection with Brahma Kumaris, but even before I came in contact with Brahma Kumaris, I had gone already to India and I already had this love for India. My body was manufactured in Brazil, but my soul is very much Indian, connected to India.
So thank you once again, both of you. And I can't forget another Brazilian sister who's come up on the screen. That's great. So I would request Sister Claudia to speak a few words. Yeah.
Om Shanti. Good morning. It's very early morning for us. Not very early, but we are I am here at the center because we are supposed to have our daily studies today. And we are going to study about happiness. And I ask the students here to hold on because we have to start later our study today so we could hear about generosity. Because I know that Luciana, for over 25 years, I know her heart is very generous. So much so that so many centers and retreat there is in Brazil. So, and they are not only rented, they own, the Brahma Kumaris own those places. And I always talk about that. That comes from a generous heart, but she is the master behind that generous heart. So I quite was happy when this generosity came for her to speak about, because that's she is like that, very generous heart. So thank you, Luciana, for being with us to share all the stories, all your time. Thank you very much. Om Shanti.
Thank you, dear Claudia Ben.
So thank you. And I hope we can take a few more minutes of you, Sister Luciana. I'll just quickly share the screen and do a quick announcements. I hope I don't get cut off now as well. Okay, it's fine. So it's fine, Anu sister. I'll just do it as you are doing. So as I mentioned while we were sharing, that we have two other very closely related values for the next month, actually starting from this month: appreciation and mercy. So episode 28 is on appreciation by our very senior, very dear Vedanti Didi. She is looking after the entire zone or the region of Africas, and she's the director of the center there. It will be on 11 December, next Saturday, same time for the talks, 8:30 India time, and West Coast 7 a.m. in the morning. We move on to next. We have the workshop with another sister from South America, which is Sister Moira. If you can, yeah. So that will be the next weekend after that. And Sister Moira is also another very senior sister all the way from Argentina. So we are very fortunate that this month of December is all the South American sisters who are going to share. That's all divine plan of the Almighty, I feel. And we'll give this a try. We'll be doing our workshops from 7:45 to 9:45 p.m. so as to accommodate the West Coast time. So hope that's fine for all of you. And then, as usual, we do a silence retreat. So this time the theme is on mercy. So we'll be doing it on mercy the last weekend. Sorry, not the last. It's 19 December. I'm sorry for that. And we'll keep you posted for all calendar which we have. We celebrated yesterday. We had today generosity. The pink ones are the Values for Life series talks which we have with the seniors. And then we have the green ones are the workshops. So you can see, and the silence retreat is in blue. And also not to forget, we have our Vihasa workshop, which is coming next Sunday. We call it Self-Care Sundays. The Bombay team, Mumbai team, Kosha Bhen and Deepa Bhen organize that. So you're welcome to attend that as well. And if you have any queries, comments, feedback, please write into the two email addresses, vihasaindia@gmail.com, and visit our website. And all these workshops are recorded on the YouTube of this omshanti.tk/workshop. So you can feel free to attend them later if you have missed the live event. Okay, thank you so much once again. So, Anu sister, if you have any, you want to take a photograph or something quickly?
We'll take a picture. So, Sister Luciana, we want to save this moment for us forever. So, everyone, we request you all to switch on your videos. And I really want to thank the beautiful stories and that real physical example of Alexander and Churchill, that we can see how the cycle of generosity continues. So thank you. Our hearts are filled and everybody has switched on their videos. So here you go. Once again. Yeah, thank you very much. I got the picture and thank you everyone. See you again. Bye now. Thank you, Sister Lucia.